and I've said this to you guys, my ceiling is your floor, okay? And that's what we're here to do. Just give you guys a chance to be good, great, successful. So we love you guys. Appreciate it. Yes,
sir. Family, 1, 2, 3.
Welcome to a Valley Sports Plug Phoenix Suns playoff recap for Round 1, Game 5. I'm Chris Patrick, and with me is my man Michael Benjamin here to break it all down for you. Let's go ahead and take a look at how Game 5 broke down for the Phoenix Suns here at home versus the Los Angeles Clippers. Man, slow starts have been a trend with the Suns in this series, but here in Game 5, the fellas had a much better start and held a 2-point lead at the end of the first, 32-30. A bit of a step back in the second quarter as the Clippers would outscore the Suns by 11 points, and that gave them a lead 70-61 over Phoenix at the break. Boy, Monty must have given quite the speech at halftime because the Suns came out swinging in the third, scoring 50 points to the Clippers 24, and the Suns would hold a commanding lead 111-94 going into the fourth. Well, they say basketball is a game of runs, and this game was an extreme example of that, as the Clippers would fight back to within 2 points with just 2 minutes left in the game. Despite some nail-biting moments down the stretch, the Suns were able to secure the victory 136-130, as well as the series 4-1. And now the Suns will advance to the conference semifinals to take on the 1-seed Denver Nuggets this weekend. But for now, we'll pass it over to Mike for an in-depth look at this Game 5.
We head to Footprint Center as the Suns find themselves with a chance to close out the Clippers, not at full strength once again, and the energy was finally there to start. And it was actually the first time that the Suns had a lead after the first quarter in this series, as they were up by 2. And then the second quarter started, and some of the same things we were seeing in a negative light, with second chance opportunities struggling to box out. And the Clippers used a 9-2 run in the last 2 minutes to propel them to a 9-point halftime lead. But not too long into the third quarter, a 7-0 run brings the game to 79-78. And then the floodgates opened. 50 points in the third quarter, half of them by Mr. Devin Booker. Unbelievable. And the Suns find themselves up 17 going into the final quarter. But the Clippers weren't going to go away easily. Russell Westbrook was bullying into people, pushing them down, knocking down Damian Lee, running over Josh Okogie, and Bones Highland shoved Bismack Biyombo in the back. And lazy defense helped the Clippers push back within 3 after a 12-0 run right around the 4-minute mark. But the Clippers, they had multiple opportunities to tie this one up. But the Suns, they hunkered down. They made a crucial stop, and as we've said before, Kevin Durant found a way to make a clutch bucket and finish it off at the free throw line. And the Phoenix Suns win this series over the 5th-seeded Los Angeles Clippers 4-1, and we look forward to the second-round semifinal matchup against the Denver Nuggets. But Chris, wow, what an incredible game on a high and a low. And I think it's that time that we go over our keys to the game. So I got to pass it over to you for number 1.
Yes, sir. Let's go ahead and take a look at our 3 keys for this Game 5. First one has to be the stars, man. They were shining tonight. And when I'm talking about the stars, I mean Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. They scored a combined 78 points. Booker had 47 and KD had 31. DeAndre Ayton and Chris Paul also contributing, putting up points themselves and helping us secure this Game 5 victory.
You know, as we stated in the Game 4 recap, this team is so top-heavy and is going to have to rely on our superstars. And fortunate enough for the Phoenix Suns, they've excelled to start. I mean, Devin Booker scores 25 points in the third quarter. He actually becomes one of only 3 other players in NBA history who have done that in the playoffs, which was Allen Iverson and Damian Lillard. I mean, that's some pretty good company to find yourself with. And Kevin Durant just keeps pushing the pace and steering this ship quietly, but convincingly at the same time. When we need a bucket from him, he finds a way. And in those fourth quarters, he's been really clutch. Obviously, we love the contributions that we get from DA and Chris Paul. And we did have some more output from our bench, which is great, but it's going to be something to keep an eye on when we match up against the Denver Nuggets because they're loaded too, and everybody's going to have to contribute the same way. But Chris, what's number 2 for our key of the game?
Number 2 has to be a lesson learned. No more Landry Shamet. We brought him in and he just made poor decision after poor decision. He was taking crazy shots, was 1 of 3 from the field, a crazy layup, I should say. And he just looks lost at times and not confident at all. The playoffs is not a time for guys to figure it out. They need to come in ready to play, ready to contribute, and get the job done. And I think, like I said, I think we've learned a lesson. Landry Shamet is not that guy, and he needs to find a spot comfortably on the bench where he can stay for the rest of this playoff stretch.
I was so happy when he finally made his first 3 and his first bucket of the series. It's like, thank God. I'm sure he was feeling the same way. I'm finally on the board. But then the decision by Monty Williams to bring him in with less than 4 minutes in the game, and you saw he wasn't ready for that moment. He fouls Norman Powell on an and one from a jump shot. He loses him again. Thankfully, the shot was missed, but those are open opportunities that could have taken the game and pushed it in the wrong way for the Phoenix Suns. And he cuts too quick and misses a pass that should have been an easy find for a layup. And right after that, Monty pulled the trigger and put back Josh Okogie. And what does Josh Okogie do immediately as he steps on the floor? He forces a turnover from Russell Westbrook that leads to a key basket and basically clinches this one up for the Phoenix Suns. I feel like Monty's learned his lesson about making sure that Josh Okogie is playing with those big 4 guys. He did have 33 minutes tonight, and I think a lot of that was due to Torrey Craig's ineffectiveness as well, who only had 17 minutes and didn't score for the first time in this series. So I like that, but to put Landry Shamet in there in such a crucial spot is just a major head scratcher, and we continue to see this. When it comes down to the Denver Nuggets, there's going to be a lot more shuffling in regard to different lineups and who's really going to get extended minutes. But I think the great thing about that situation as well is I don't think the Denver Nuggets are as physical or demanding on the defensive end. So we could find ourselves in a firefight every single night. Chris, what's our final key of the game to this Game 5 victory to seal up this series?
Man, our third and final key has to be the composure of the Phoenix Suns. And they showed a lot more composure than I had, especially down in the stretch. I know I was messaging you saying, what is going on? The defense looks horrible right now. But despite all the mistakes that were made, they were able to keep it together and secure the victory. I mean, starting even at halftime, being able to bounce back in the third after being down by 9, and then to finish out the game despite letting them back in late, they're going to need to keep that composure going forward into the next series. And just this word composure I keep throwing around, you see how the Clippers kind of lost it. They had 2 flagrant fouls down the stretch. So I just hope that they can keep that going into this next series with the Nuggets, as we have history with this team and know that things will get chippy. The calls might not always go our way, but if we keep our head and keep fighting, I know these guys can get the job done.
There's something to say about the ability to close out at home and hand a gentleman's sweep to a team. When you lose game 1 and they think they have confidence to come out and just handle business the way that this Phoenix Suns team did, it was just great to see. Obviously, they love to keep us on our toes and, clenching our fists and biting our tongue. But even after the Clippers go on that 12-0 run and hit 4 3-pointers back to back to back to back, there was just something inside of me that had a feeling we were going to be able to close this one out. And it's nice to have that feeling every once in a while. So first time that this team closes out a series at home since 2007, back in the old Nash days. And I can't wait to continue this momentum into this Denver Nuggets series. That's going to be a really, really tough one, Chris. So with that being said, I'll pass it back over to you for your final thoughts on this one.
Man, just happy to be done with this series. I think it could have been a lot worse. We've continued to mention Kawhi going out, Paul George not playing, but I think This was a good test for the Suns to be able to continue to build the camaraderie now that Kevin Durant's in the lineup, have Monty figure out the rotations, and now the true battles and the true tests are going to start for this team as we go up against the number 1 seed in the West, the Denver Nuggets, who will have home court advantage throughout this series. We were able to re-secure home court advantage for ourselves in this one, showing the ability to win on the road. So we'll have to take that mindset into Denver and steal one on the road. I have full confidence in them to do that. And last thing I'll say is continue to feed the beast. Devin Booker and Kevin Durant are going to be the guys that we lean on, and that is clear.
I'm so happy that that was your last point. Suns fans, make sure you're taking this all in. Devin Booker is becoming an all-time generational talent in front of our eyes. The way that he played in that third quarter and the way that he played to start out this playoff run, if he can keep this up and keep this team rolling to the eventual mountaintop, people in general and the national media are not going to be able to deny this kid any longer. So let's go to Denver. Let's get some extra breaths in with that high altitude. Let's steal a game or two and get home court advantage back on our side. And let's go, Chris, man. Round 2. Let's get it.
Can't wait. You're right. Some much needed time off. Game 1 of our second round matchup versus the Nuggets is still to be determined, but will likely start this Saturday, April 29th. So make sure you're tuning in the following day so you can continue to catch our recaps throughout this playoff run. For Michael Benjamin, I'm Chris Patrick, and we'll see you next time. Peace.